What is up, y'all? I'm Mackenzie McGehee. I'm a love coach, and today we are talking about how to build self-confidence in dating. Let's dive in. I personally believe that we cannot talk about self-confidence in dating without talking about self-trust. I believe that when you start to trust yourself in dating, when you really start to honor what you know, to be true for yourself, that is what builds a level of confidence to navigate dating from. In my personal experience, I have dated in a way in my 20s of a way that I freaking broke a lot of trust with myself. I believe that we all have these personal honor codes, whether it's conscious or unconscious, that is informing how we interact with the world. And our honor code is very unique to each person. You know, in your honor code, there could be your non-negotiables. There could be your integrity. There could be levels of which you want to interact with people that you know is just true deep down in your bones. Now, this honor code can get covered with a lot of freaking muck from past relationships, and oh my gosh, it can get so much muck in it from your childhood. Your childhood experiences inform your belief system. And all the experiences, whether we like it or not, we've experienced, and they are informing our decisions. They are informing your here and now. I've heard studies of 90% of what you are experiencing right now in this moment is informed by your past. What? It's freaking crazy. So let's get into this a little more. Your belief system is born in you from childhood because you absorb from your caretakers how you should think about yourself, how you should think about dating, how you should think about relationships. And then that belief system that gets born in you is what creates these behaviors that we start interacting with the world with based on this belief system that got born in you. And underneath all of that, I think you know the truth. It's just been covered up over the years from experiences that you've had over your life. But that truth of who you are down deep, bone shaking deep, is still there. And it hasn't gone away. You're not broken. None of that bullshit. You have just had really unpleasant experiences that kind of covered this truth of who you are up. And in this belief system that was born into you, it's quite possible that you've been going through dating in a way of not trusting yourself. You've been going through dating in a way of not knowing who you are, and then that leading to a very low self-esteem. So I'm going to share a personal experience, and I feel like a lot of you all out there can relate to this. There was a peak relationship in my history in my 20s where I abandoned myself at the deepest of levels. Part of my honor code was not using drugs. And all of a sudden I found myself in this whirlwind of a relationship where I was so out of integrity with what I knew to be true for myself. And all of a sudden I was using drugs, I was drinking a lot. And I feel like you might relate to this in the sense that at the end of that relationship, it came to a head. And when you break that honor code with yourself, when you break that self-trust with yourself in the realm of abandoning yourself in these big ways that we all do, this leads to very low self-esteem. In that moment of time, at the end of that relationship, I really felt so unworthy. I had no self-esteem. I didn't feel confident in my body. I didn't feel confident in my purpose. I didn't feel confident in the direction I was going. I didn't feel confident in anything. And when you break that trust with yourself over and over and over and over and over and over again in one relationship, you hit a freaking wall. I know that you know what I'm talking about. And when I hit that wall, I made a promise to myself, I will never, ever do this again. I will never abandon myself in this big of a way. I will never lose this much integrity with who I am again. And the reality of that, which is the hard part to take in, is I stayed in that relationship. I stayed. Oh my God, I stayed. I made those decisions. And that's really hard to take in. But in that process of breaking that self-trust with myself, I just found myself on the literal floor, drained. And then that moment came in of clarity of I will never, ever do this again. And from that day forward, I went on a huge journey of rebuilding my self-trust. It felt like I was in a cave clawing my way out with no rope. I was just clawing my way out, trying to figure out how the heck I could build integrity back with myself, how I could begin to trust myself. And I can tell you I'm on the other side, and now I have a deep sense of trust within myself. I have a deep sense of knowing what my truth is and standing in it. And in all of that happening, I feel pretty confident in the realm of dating. I'm also single, and so I can really tell you that it's possible because I've lived it. And some of the most important things I've done in this journey of building back this self-trust was really following that intuition, following that guidance, and really tapping into all these ways of loving up on myself. Some days it was taking a bath. Sometimes it was going out for a walk, and just building the sense within my body of safety, self-safety, that I created this foundation of safety within my body of which I can operate with the world, and I know that I got me through boundaries, through knowing my needs and expressing them, through all these different ways. Even in my journey of building my self-trust, I went and I did jiu-jitsu for a month, and it was so transformational to just get in there and get in my body. And so I know that this may feel really untangible. It quite possibly could at this moment. And I'm going to give you some tangible tools of how you might begin to cultivate this relationship with yourself, right? Instead of abandoning yourself, which, oh my gosh, I have done in the biggest of ways, to this relationship of really knowing and trusting yourself. And the trust comes from knowing that you got you. So some of the ways that you could start playing with this concept of self-trust is really in the dating process. I don't know about you, but for me in my history, it was really hard to stay grounded in my body in the relationship, because it would be like somebody comes in, it's super exciting, and I just jump into their world and leave my world behind. So I think one of the things that's really important in maintaining the self-trust is going slow. And if you are not used to going slow, believe me, I get it, that it's gonna feel freaking uncomfortable at first. However, if you go on a date with someone and then you spend a couple days apart to really ask yourself, like, what was that interaction like? Did I really like them? Did they listen to me? Do they have my non-negotiables? And taking that moment in a couple of days in your own energy to ask yourself and kind of debrief that encounter with that person, that interaction. Because if we don't take time to come back into our own energy, it's quite possible that you're going to get swept away and leave yourself behind. So the first thing I would say is go slow. The second thing I would say is, in these moments of debriefing with yourself, getting clear on, is there something that I need to verbalize? And I really get that using our voice, especially as women, can feel really challenging at first, especially if you weren't celebrated for your voice in the past. And so really taking a moment to get clear on, like, ooh, was there a boundary that like kind of got crossed, but I didn't even know it was a boundary until it was crossed? Or, ooh, I think I have a need here. Can I express it? And really allowing yourself to verbalize it. And then also in the realm of boundaries, to get really clear on what your boundaries are maybe before you even start dating. What are your boundaries around physical touch? What are your boundaries around how quick somebody comes into your physical space? I know for me, I don't allow anybody into my physical space for quite a while because I want a place where it's just my energy so that I can come back and keep coming back. And know that this is a journey. It is a freaking journey, y'all. That you go out there, you meet someone, you come back, you ground. You go back out there and you just slowly build this more sustainable relationship, because the most important relationship, I know we've seen it everywhere, is but your relationship with yourself. Because if you don't have a relationship with yourself, as soon as you meet someone, you're going to get swept up, away, up and away, I say. And so really maintaining this relationship with yourself and really starting to cultivate these grounding practices. It may be meditation. It may be going outside, feeling the sunshine. It may be an Epsom salt bath. It may be yoga. It may be having containers for yourself within coaching. I don't know about you, but me, I do not want to do this alone. And that's the other part of this, to really have support that you can lean into that is safe, that you feel seen and heard and felt, is so freaking important in the dating process, to have those platforms where you can debrief with another person and bounce off of them. Somebody that knows your boundaries, somebody that knows what's important to you in dating, right? Your boundaries around physical touch, your boundaries around proximity to where you live, and all these other places, so that you can have somebody to bounce off of and really keep coming back in your own energy. And if you're at the place where I once was, of being on the floor, being drained and feeling no shred of self-worth, my heart is with you. My heart is so with you, and I have been there, and I know what is possible. So be gentle with yourself in this process and just take it step by step, moment by moment. And the way that this self-trust or this self-confidence is built is in these tiny little actions over time. These consistent little actions that you're taking. Maybe it's somebody, your best friend calls and they're like, girl, I want to get coffee. And you're like, actually, I'm really tired and I need to take a nap. Boom, that's you trusting yourself. Or having an engagement that you're gonna go out and go to a party of some sort. And you're like, actually, I just don't have the energy for it. And so you release it with love and you take care of yourself. That is your way into building self-confidence. And so if you got value from this, please drop a comment. And if you would like to see more, hit the like and subscribe.